I just found a Pokemon. First, I'm going to be using a DMG backlight kit with the plastic layer from a DS Lite screen, which it's going to be the same process as the DS Lite mod for a Tamagotchi backlight. If you haven't seen that video, make sure to check it out. So I'm going to start by taking it apart and installing the backlight. If you didn't know what a Pokewalker is, it's a pedometer device Nintendo made for the DS games Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It would count your steps in real life and reward you in the game for it. Once disassembled, I had to remove the silver background film layer, while being careful not to mess up the layer against it, which seems to be a polarization film. The reason for removal is because light was not passing through this layer. Therefore, the backlight mod will not work. To replace it, I attached one of the translucent layers that came with the backlight. Then I marked and cut a groove for the tiny power switch that will turn on and off the backlight. After desoldering the speaker wires, I had to trim down some of the plastic on the screen lens edge from the inside to add more space for the backlight kit. I tried my best to remove the big scratch on the screen lens. While you can still tell there's a scratch, I did minimize its appearance and successfully removed a tad bit of white and red paint from it. Therefore, it already started to look a lot better. Now, before moving on to painting the front, I decided to go ahead and pre-assemble the backlight mod to test it and have it ready before final assembly. Let's go ahead and test the backlight. Awesome. Although not sure if it's picking it up on camera, but it kind of flickers. Alright, I'm actually going to go ahead and try something. I'm going to see if I can fit this small battery inside, because that's basically the only way I'm going to get that to work without flickering. I've had this problem actually recently with a couple of Tamagotchis. For some reason it wasn't doing it at first. Not sure if it's a new backlight kits or what, but it just flickers when turned on, and I don't really like that. But see if I can put this in there somewhere. And with the Tamagotchis, I had tried a capacitor and wiring it differently, and nothing really seemed to work. And it's doing the same thing with this. So the only solution is to put another battery on its own. I went ahead and removed a bit of plastic using a Dremel to make more space for the smaller battery. I used a CR1216 3V battery, since it's the smallest 3V battery I could find at my local Walmart. Before I knew it, I ran into another problem. I had ordered some battery holders for this battery, but it was too big to fit. There's also batteries with tabs to solder onto, but I couldn't find any that were small enough for this. So the only way this was going to work is to pinch the wires to the battery using heat shrink tubing. And if you didn't know, soldering wires directly to a battery is a big no-no, since it can ruin the battery, and with enough heat can catch on fire or even explode. Ironically, I'll be using heat shrink tubing, which requires heat, but I did my research and was very careful turning my hot air station all the way down. Plus, I also added a bit of Kapton tape to help reduce the heat to the battery. I found that the heat I was applying was too low for the heat shrink tubing to work properly and completely shrink. That and the fact that I wasn't keeping it on there for too long. But I managed to make it work, since it did make it malleable enough to pinch down with my fingers and got it to stay.
After finishing all the previous issues I had, I tested it one last time before painting the Pokewalker and turning it into a masterball. I got it prepped for painting by applying a stencil to cover up everything except the red, then paint it away. I also had to design and make a stencil for the pink circles on top and use purple spray paint to fill in the rest.
So I just came outside to go to my little shed to continue painting the next step, and look what I just came across. I just found a Pokemon. Let's try to catch it. Well, that didn't work. Probably because it's not a Master Ball.
And after a little while, this happened. Well, at least someone caught something. But anyways, back to the build. The next step to finish the paint job was to add the M with white vinyl, as well as fill in and hand paint the scratched off black and white areas, then add a final clear coat. Finally, it was time to put it all together and finish the Master Ball Pokewalker. Sadly, I don't have any of the two games to fully test it. I did have Heart Gold for a bit at one point, but don't anymore. I'll just have to trust it still works fine for now, since it did before. And just like that, after all that work, I can call it good and done. Here's how it looks turned on in dim lighting. And here in complete darkness.
Now unfortunately the screen is all scratched up. If it had a nice new looking screen on there, it would look really nice. But at least it still looks way better than it did before. And honestly, if I had one, I would just keep it as is. Unless I had two, then I would modify one, customize it, and then leave one as is. But I think it looks pretty awesome. Let me know what you think in the comments. I also got a little bit of paint on the power switch right there, but doesn't matter, it still works. Doesn't get stuck or anything. So that's it for this video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to see me fix a Game Boy Micro with the bad ribbon cable and having to solder a bunch of wires to it, click the video link up here. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.